So, one of my subscribers in all of the videos I start up close comments that I could probably get a little closer. So I did. Now that that's out of the way. Had a good day for vape mill today. Got a lot of cool shit in. I got a AGI, the Dripper Genesis Addy combo. I'm excited to play with that. I got 3 new glass tanks for my Lava Gen, so very happy about that because I love that thing. What else I got? I got some screws and some nuts and springs from Pedro. I got a third Ithaca in. Ithaca fanboy for sure. But this video is going to be about the Orion V3 from Non-Smoker. And here we go. Alright, so please ignore my vaping desk. It is an absolute shamble and shame that it is in this condition. But, let's have us a vape, and I just see I got a low battery indicator, so I'm not going to make this a real long one. The Orion V3. Basically, what they did is they took an Orion, which is one of my favorite hybrids ever, and they turned it into a variable wattage device. Now, on the Orion, I have to some degree, take myself out of the equation because not everybody vapes like me, and I 100% fully recognize and acknowledge that. I don't vape at 15 watts. I don't vape at 15 watts regulated. I don't vape at 15 watts unregulated. On Genesis, I vape at about 20 to 22 watts, which is why I'm excited for the DNA. So, like I said, I have to take myself out of the equation on 15 watts because that's just not how I vape. But the average person, the average vapor, does vape below 15 watts or 15 watts or below. Another situation that I have to take myself out of the equation on the Orion, there are 3 air holes, here, here, and here. And they gradually go from large to medium to small. The largest, wide open, is still tighter than I would normally use. I normally would use a 16th or you know, even as much as 5/64ths, which is what I have on my mechanical Orion. So the most wide open draw on the Orion V3 to me feels like now about 1.3. Now it may be 1.5, but there's some wiggly bobbly do that the air does getting from the hole to the, and actually I'll just show you that the air does getting from the hole to the wick. See that little smokestack type of dealy there? This little ring turns. And as you turn this ring, you can use the big hole, you can turn it, whoop, you can use the big hole, let me see if I can get a better angle. There we go. You can use the big hole directly under the little smokestacky thing and turn it and use the medium hole, or actually the wrong way, big hole, medium hole, small hole. So what happens is when you pull on it, the air goes into that hole, up the little smokestacky thing, into the wick. Like I said, I don't know, and there goes my damn phone. I don't know what the size of that hole is, but to me it feels like about 1.3, which is, for me, a little tight. As far as the Addy deck, it's basically a single coil Orion. There's a fill hole that would suit probably a 14 or 16 gauge needle, a single wick hole which appears to be around 3 millimeters, a positive screw on the negative, and the standard wrap and trap on the positive. Other than that, the capacity of it appears to be about the same as the mechanical Orion. Between 2.5 and maybe 3 mils maybe. So then we get into, now that's the Addy and the top cap. It's very much an Orion single coil with this new adjustable airflow. So the reason that the airflow for me would be a problem is, normally if I got a device in that had an air hole that was just too big, too small for me, I'd just drill it out. But there's no air hole in the top cap. So if I drilled an air hole in the top cap, I would completely defeat the purpose of having the adjustable airflow. So I think to where with some devices, it doesn't necessarily ruin the Addy to put a new hole, or to bore out the air hole. I think to add an air hole to this would be just a monstrosity to do to it. So it's not something that I would do. We'll take another vape and keep going. Well, I think my battery just died. Now, the good thing about regulated vaping is there is no voltage drop. There is no, no, I'm sorry, that was the wrong word. You do not have a reduction in power from using it. So 15 watts will be 15 watts from the first pull to the last pull. You can go into the menu, and I think it's menu item 3 or 4. I'll put a link to their website on the description that explains the menu. Maybe menu 4 or 5. You can set what the minimum, what the discharge protection will basically cut it off at. I've got it set to 3.2. You can set it anywhere from 2.8 up to 3.3, I think. And so what that means is in single battery mode, when your battery's voltage just drops down to 3.2 as I have it set, then the device will just quit firing, and that's over discharge protection. Very good feature to have. Also, it's the first time I've ever seen where you can set where your battery's discharge stops at. If you want to, push the boundaries, I guess, and obviously it's, in their opinion, safe to set it as low as 2.8. I probably would reduce the overall lifespan of your battery. You can get a little more battery life out of it, draining that battery all the way down to 2.8, and then it shuts off. Now, you can absolutely make a horrible mistake when it comes to setting the discharge, the over discharge protection, because this uses, now they advertise an 18650 or stacked 18350s. As you can see, I'm just using a single 18350 because it works just fine. So single 18350 or single 18650, you set your battery discharge to 3.2, 3.1, just whatever you want to. But if you go in and add this extra tube in the middle, in between them, and stack 18650s, if you have your battery discharge protection still set at 2.8 or 3.1, then you've got a disaster on your hands. You could tear the whole gig up. I don't know really what the consequences are of draining 2 batteries down that low. But then if you're stacking, you want to set the discharge protection to like 7 volts because you're together stacked up. You have a total of 7.4 fully charged. That'd be 8.4 fully charged. So when you stack the batteries, you do need to be mindful that you need to set the discharge protection up in the 7 range to avoid doing any kind of damage to the device. Other than that, it's mostly just an Orion, I guess. It's got a copper spring down in the bottom. Let's see if I can get it out. Just got a copper spring down in the bottom, and I'd say good ups for using copper. And it does have a hole on the bottom for venting, so the copper Goes right in there. The unit with the battery, right on there. And you're vaping. It is only variable wattage. It is not variable wattage and variable voltage. So, I've noticed it's darker now because I remembered, if you've seen my some of my other, let me get focused here. I remembered this video to make sure that my memory card was clean before I started it. But I didn't charge the battery. So, now I'm a couple hours later, much darker outside, hence the difference in the color in the video. Whenever my battery died, I was talking about the menu system, and I wanted to go over what they were, so I got their website pulled up. Okay, I don't know what the shutoff time is. Maybe it says here. It does not say. 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, the unit will automatically cut off, and you've got to 5-click turn it on. And then after that, the menu system is P1 is power up or power down. And again, it is only wattage. There's no voltage. So P1 turns it up, or P2 turns it down, but on both settings it does round robin. From 6 watts up to 15 watts. P3 measures the resistance of the atomizer. P4 is a measurement of the battery and the atomizer under load. P5 is where you set your discharge protection that I talked about earlier. And P6 just turns the unit on or off. So if you want to turn it off, you can just turn it off. But if you want to leave it on after 10 minutes, it will cut itself off. I wanted to tell you about the error codes. Error 0 is other error. So I guess it could mean anything. Error 1 is resistance interrupted. Error 2 is resistance is too large. I would assume you would get an error 2 if you popped your coil or if the circuit wasn't completing. So there's the resistance is too large. I don't know what the maximum is, but similar to a Pravari where you would get a OP error for overpower, that's what the error 2 is. Error 3 I now have personal experience with. When I first set this up, I did a full wrap of 28 gauge. It metered out to about 0.7 ohms. And I was getting an E3 error, which meant that my resistance was too low. Now, there is some talks that you can clear the error and then go ahead and use it with down as low as 0.5 ohms. I personally have not been able to replicate that because when I had a 0.7 ohm coil on it, I did erase the error and I got the error again, so I was not able to go below 0.8. The coil that I've got on it now is 0.9. Error 4 is a short circuit or a wobble contact. Not exactly sure what that means, a wobble contact. Maybe you don't have your positive or negative screw all the way in, or could be a number of things. You don't have your wick oxidized well and you're shorting out on the coil. No, that would be a resistance small. So error 4, short circuit or wobble contact. Error 5 is battery voltage is too low. That would be whenever you have triggered the discharge or over discharge protection. You would get the P4 or the E4. No, E5 there. 6 would be overheating. Don't know what would cause overheating. And error 7 is max power time exceeded. Again, I don't know what that means. So go over that one more time. P1 is power up. P2 is power down, both of them round robin both directions. P3 is atomizer's resistance. P4 is measurement of battery and battery under load in volts. P5 is where you set your discharge protection from 2.9 volts up to 7 volts. And P6 turns it on and off. So that's the menu system. So now some thoughts. Well, actually we'll have a vape and then we'll have some, I don't know, some final thoughts on it. Something interesting there. I'm actually going to try something here. I've got it set to 15 watts, but I know this battery is getting low. And this might be a nod to what my buddy Danny Shooter, a conversation we had a little while ago. So I'm going to put a fresh 18650 in here. positive up instead of positive down, instead of old Orion style. Okay, P1, 15 watts. So whenever you change batteries, it keeps your settings. Let's see something. I noticed the same thing Danny noticed. Now we're supposed to be regulated 15 watts. Let me get this wicking going here. Let me check my coil. Feels a little warm up at the top. One second. E7. Okay. Got an E7 error just out of the blue, which meant max power time exceeded. What you do when you have an error is you go through the menu till you get to the error code, and when you get to the error code, you hold down the button, and that will reset the error code. So I just got a max power time exceeded error code. I cleared it, and now it's going. But back to what I was talking about just a minute ago. Strangely enough, even with regulated power at 15 watts, this battery that was about half charged was not hitting as hard on the same 15 watts as this battery is, which is a fresh battery. So I wish I was like Sensefield or Basardo or Paisley running through the room. Huh? I don't know, go in there and do a video. Thank you. So I could do all of the charts and all of that jazzy do. But there seems to be some variation. It's not 100% perfect on the regulation. And my buddy Danny Shooter, 445 on ECF and Facebook and all those places, Danny Dorset, he noticed the same thing, that on a half-charged battery, even with regulated 15 watts, when he put a fresh battery in, it seemed to have been hitting harder. So, it's not my intentions in this review to just rip it apart. The Orion 3, the machine quality on it is outstanding. The media blasted finish is absolutely perfect. The engraving is super nice. The button works very, very well. The menu system is, I would say, for the most part intuitive. You know, just up, down, atomizer, battery, discharge, on or off. I would like some more explanation or maybe some better definition on the error codes. Because I just got that error 7 and I don't know why I got it, so I just know, I cleared it and it worked again. So I would like to see some instructions too, because when I first got it, I rolled a coil on it like I normally would, and I started out with an E3 error. I didn't know what that meant, so I went digging around, went to the website, found out, and rolled a higher resistance coil. So I just I think for the average person, the average vapor, and it was expensive, it was 350 bucks. For the average vapor at 15 watts, I guess that would be enough, but is it worth $350 in this form factor to do what you could do for, a couple of hundred, $250? I don't know. I'll leave that up to you. It is well made. It is well manufactured. So that's I'm on the ledge about it. It's not something I would vape because I vape higher than 15 watts. A little wonky on the errors and the instructions, which there are none, and on the self troubleshooting maybe. So not a home run, not a total failure. Somewhere in between, if handed an Orion 2.1 and an Orion V3, even at the same money, I would take my 2.1. So, that's my thoughts on the Orion V3, and that's what I got. Shane and JC West, YouTube, Facebook, doors closing, and Vapor's Place. Be strong, vape on. See you again next time.